It's showing we're live on all three through here. It's showing it connected to them. So, is that what you're looking at on there to see if it's streaming through?
Yeah, on my iPad, on Jen wife's iPad. Hold on. What he did. Yeah, he said it's on there.
All right, everybody. We apologize. StreamYard, it denied access to the Facebook. So we was having trouble with it. And then we tried to go through Facebook and do one. And that didn't really work out either. So now we're back to square one and just had to create a new one and allowed it to go through. We apologize for the inconvenience. But yeah, we're going to do the recap on the Pickwick Wilson tournament. So we have Chase Petty representing the team of Chase Petty and Kevin Wiley, and then Scott Dees and Derek Howard. They're your Division II winners from over the weekend. So they had some pretty impressive bags come in on Pickwick Wilson, and I love to see that. Which I'm about 30 minutes from Riverfront Park where we did weigh in, so it always tickles me for people to come up here on some of our lakes and do well. And Chase and Kevin, they had a real good 2 days, and they had to deal with a lot of issues on Friday and still came in with a big bag. And I think a lot of teams really got to see Pickwick. I know because that's where we fished, and the ones we talked to got to see Pickwick for what Pickwick can really be. And we want to thank the city of Sheffield and then Colbert County Board of Tourism that helped us make this make it possible, and $5,000 first place on the Division I. That's the biggest payout that we've been able to put together for Alabama Crappie Trail. So that's a milestone in itself. I think with all the tournaments that was going on throughout, kind of hurt our turnout a little bit. We was a little disappointed in that, but it is what it is, and you're not always going to have a good turnout when you're tournament fishing. And then I'm sure the weather did not help if there was any locals that wanted to fish, for like pre-fishing days. Pretty windy. I know it got nasty on Thursday in particular. And so, for everybody, like I said, we apologize, but let's kind of get on with it. And I'll start with you, Chase. I came in with some impressive bags for 2 days. Just what's the perception right now of how the year kind of for Pickwick in particular?
How the year has been?
Yeah, as far as just the fish, good year, bad year, down year.
Pickwick is unbelievable, and I tell all my clients, especially people that's never been to Pickwick, a lot of them has been on guide trips on Sardis, Grenada, Enid, places like that, Ross Barnett. And I tell them before they come, if they've never been here, I tell them, I said, you probably won't believe this, but we're going to catch bigger fish than you caught on 3 out of those 4 lakes you've been to. And they're all think I'm crazy when I tell them that. And by the end of the day, they're like, this is unbelievable. And I say, well, it's kind of a big secret what Pickwick really is. And it ain't always like that. There are times that it's not as good. That's just with any lake, though. There's down times in every lake. But when you get into February, March, April, you can expect to see a lot of 2-pound fish coming to boat when you're on Pickwick. There's a lot of times you're sea fish on Pickwick, and I'm sure everybody saw a bunch of 2-pounders, but they're very tricky to get to bite, and that's where the clear water comes into play. The clearer water, that's the only thing that probably plays more on Pickwick compared to all the other Mississippi lakes is, because all the other Mississippi lakes is when you stick a jig in front of a fish's face, he bites. I mean, It's the easiest place. I tell everybody, Pickwick is the non-biting capital of the world. And sometimes they bite, most times they don't. And that's the only thing that people have trouble with most of the time was when they come to Pickwick is getting them to bite. And that just comes with a lot of experience getting them to bite.
Yeah. So Scott and Derek, I know y'all are not from up around Pickwick, and I don't know how many times y'all had fished it before, but just what y'all seen over the course of a couple of days. What did y'all think?
Yeah, we're down all the way down in Coffeyville. So it was about 4.5 hours to Pickwick. That was our first time to be on the water. Was Friday morning. We pre-fished Friday morning. I'll be honest, I read online and stuff that they had talked to Chase about on some of the magazine articles and stuff, and we hit some creek runs and just started finding floating fish and singles, and said that's what we're going to do Saturday morning, and we run them around, all just following them creek beds on the map,
So how many 2-pounders you think y'all might have seen over the course of 2 days?
I know we had a 3-pounder we run for like 12 minutes and never got her to. We started out with a yellow jig, and I'd hand tied, and I'd hand him something else, and we put plastic ATX lures in front of him. And I even went to a live minnow hooked in the back one time on her. We just kept on and on and on. She'd come to the top to the numbers and go to the bottom in the mud, so
Yeah.
we just went around and around with her, Never could get her to bite. That would have been special for us,
Yeah, it was. Well, we had some pretty good days. I mean, I was never on the fish. I don't guess caught no 12 plus, sack. Well, I guess Saturday I had like a true little kicker in the mix that we might could have got over 12, but that all happened in about a 45-minute span. Believe it or not. The fish we caught within a 45-minute stretch from 12:30 to 1:15. So they was in there, but y'all touched on that with y'all's fish and Chase. What he said, there's just some it just wasn't going to eat it. It didn't matter how you threw it, how you talked to them on the screen. They just wasn't going to do nothing. But Chase, kind of what was y'all's approach? I know y'all was probably one of the more experienced teams. I mean, with you guiding and then Kevin living on the lake, as far as knowledge of Pickwick. And I know we had some teams fishing Wilson, but neither one of the winning teams came off of Wilson. So we're mostly probably going to be talking about Pickwick in this little interview. But what was y'all's approach coming into the week? And kind of. How'd y'all make it happen, man? Without giving away all your secrets. Don't give away all your secrets.
No, I'm pretty much an open book, man. It's I didn't have any guide trips on the lake all week. I had to guide most of the week all the way up until Wednesday. And Wednesday and Thursday they forecasted it to blow and thunderstorm, 100% thunderstorms on Wednesday, and then the blow, I think 40 mile an hour on Thursday. So I knew I wasn't going to have much time to go find it. I knew a few areas. Pickwick changes year to year on size of fish, believe it or not. There's about 6 major creek arms or creeks on Pickwick with a few areas where they're actually on the main river. And it changes year to year. Where I caught them out last year, they're not there this year. There's not even the size. It's almost like as small as Pickwick can fish. And I'm not going to say small; it's a huge lake. But every creek fishes differently, and they all have different sizes of fish, different times of year. So you kind of just got to pick and choose, what class of fish you're really looking for. And I knew I wasn't going to have much pre-fishing, but I already knew areas that had bigger fish this year just from being on the lake. Kevin has fished a lot this spring. He usually gets to fish more in the spring than he does other times of the year with his job. So he'd been fishing the past weeks too to kind of see where we needed to at least focus on. I went out Thursday. Let's see, I'm getting my Wednesday, and the storms never blew in Wednesday. We actually had a pretty nice day. We had some rain that morning, but it slicked off, and I was able to actually get around a few different creek arms and at least be able to see where I need to focus on. Thursday was pretty much a wash. I checked one creek that I was pretty close to where I was staying at, and then I was off the lake by 11 o'clock. I wasn't going to sit out there. Number one thing, I forgot my rain boots at my house. So I had no rain boots. My feet was complete. I had swamp feet on Wednesday. I mean, I'm like, I had to go to dinner that night with Kevin and it looked like I had washed like squeaking shoes going in the restaurant. I mean, it was bad. So Thursday, my main focus was not to get my feet wet again. So I couldn't take it again. So like by 11 o'clock, I just went in. I said, I told him, I said, well, wherever we got, we're just gonna fish what we got. I ain't getting out there and getting my feet wet any more than I have to. And I pretty much knew where I wanted to at least try to fish. Friday, the wind, I didn't really care about, when tournament happens. I mean, I look at the wind, but I'm going to try to fish where I want to fish at no matter what. I mean, it really has to blow extremely hard to run me away from a spot. And that just comes with experience over the years, fishing with all the Elite Series guys and fishing against these pros. They don't, wind doesn't bother a lot of them guys, so you can't let it bother you. You got to go out there. These guys are good enough. The wind doesn't even affect us, and pretty much, and especially since I work in it every day, I've gave up trying to sit there and complain about wind because it's gonna blow. The only thing that I didn't prepare for was on Friday morning coming in on 3 wheels to the live well check. I didn't prepare for that, so we had to change our game plan a little bit for that for sure, and wasn't able to. It was blowing. I don't know what y'all think. How hard do you think it was blowing on Friday? I mean, at one time it probably got up to 30 or so for sure, like stable 30 mile an hour.
Yeah. It was. She was licking,
and it was right down the pipe of the main river, so you couldn't leave. I mean, wherever you started fishing, you was laying in the bed of it. So
yeah.
Any other time, if I would have had 4 tires, I probably would have took a few more chances. But maybe that was a blessing, Yeah. You can't never tell. That might have been a blessing in disguise, not being able to leave,
Yeah, I know we went all the way to JP Coleman, and that's where we put in. We fished Indian on day one. But and maybe let's say Thursday kind of killed me because I went into bear on my pre-fishing. We go to the back, and I was working my way out, and before I really ever got to where I really wanted to be, it come right down the pipe, and you talking about it got wicked. I mean, you could have surfed on some of them rollers coming in bear right there as soon as you come around the point, like you was on the home run stretch back toward the river, and we did get to fish in there on Saturday, but we started the day on Saturday up in Indian and ended up coming back, but the weather was definitely a game changer, and you're right about the wind. For people watching, which we was in the wind, and I've actually went out a lot of days and practiced in it. Just wind's blowing, I'm going fishing today because it used to kill us more, but you better have some good lithium batteries on that trolling motor when you got to wind it up and fight the wind. Because we was dead at 1:30, so I got lithium batteries now, so maybe that won't hurt us as bad. But Scott and Derek, I know y'all was on. I guess y'all was up in Bear, hitting off them flats, off them creek channels and stuff. And I guess that was your game plan coming in. So,
yeah, it was. I mean, that's basically where we wanted to start out at and look at it, and pulled up Friday morning and like 5 minutes, dropped down, caught a 189, and Scott said, "Put the pole down. We got to get out of here." So that's basically what we did.
I have to kind of keep him off of them. You know what I mean?
It gets hard, man. It's hard not to beat on them, you know.
And y'all saw on Facebook probably, what was that thing that was sucked to the side of that? It's a lapri or something like that. It had a big old scar on the side of that 189. You know.
A leech.
That's what I
long little thing. It had a sucker and teeth on the front on the mouth,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I've been seeing those a lot. I've been seeing those a lot on not only Pickwick but Kentucky Lake too. I don't know.
Does those things make y'all skin crawl when that thing rolls over on the floor of the boat and like starts like it's kissing at you and like wanting to lock on you?
Yep.
And we get them on cedar and little bear a lot too.
Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna weigh in. I'm gonna weigh in a fish with the one stuck on it, and because that's got to give me a little bit more weight.
I don't think that's cheating. I mean, oh man, we lost Chase. There he comes. He's back.
Maybe I don't think it's cheating. Anyway,
no, you didn't put it there. I mean, you didn't put it there.
Yeah.
So,
I asked Keith. He said that's a parasite, so it counts.
Yeah.
And was there any certain colors that y'all use or any baits y'all use seem to work better down there this week than or this past week?
I caught them on my hand tied electric chicken and some on white. Mainly that electric chicken. That's what they killed the most.
What about you, Chase? I'm sure it was ATX something.
The Petty Pearl. So that's where the color was formed at, was on Pickwick. That's where it made its name, and that's the only bait we used, and that's pretty much the only bait I've been using on guy trips, and I haven't switched. I'm not going to switch. That bait right there, if I get it in front of a big fish, it will eat it.
So that's just a pearl white and the ATX color.
Yeah, I got one. Let me see if I got one.
Now we were throwing ATX monkey milks also, you know, but
yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. It's got like a take it off the jig head here. It's got sparkle on the here we go. Right up there. Got sparkle on the back side. It's got a little pink belly. You can barely see it. That's where it gets the pearl at. But anyway, that's if you come in on Pickwick, that's pretty much all we're using now. And I don't know what it is. It's sort of like it's just a monkey milk with a little bit more flash in it.
Yeah, and he said they used that ATX monkey. We did too on the monkey milk, and then it was like the monkey milk with the chartreuse tail.
Yeah,
we threw that some. And then when we rolled up in Bear, Delta makes one. They call it Jaybird. It's like the frost, like a pearly white, sparkly body with a chartreuse tail. And when that first 190 something ate it, I'm sure they would have ate. You know, went back and ate the ATX and the sliders we've been throwing throughout the week at different times to catch them. Because it was a little odd that we caught fish. I was shocked that we caught fish on the June bug, and I've never really done good on June bug color on the crappie sliders at Pickwick as we did on, especially like Wednesday. We did really good on that color, but that was an overcast day. But when the sun popped out, some type of white seemed to do us better, or a monkey milk, you know, whatever we threw. So it seems like it.
Chase, was you casting to them or long poling?
Casting. Don't even have a long rod on my deck. I actually haven't put a long rod on my deck, even on Reelfoot. That's all we've been doing. I haven't put a long rod on my deck in a month and a half.
Really?
Kevin Hicks said that Scott D's caught some of his fish.
No, I actually chased one right up to him just about, but we let her get away from us.
Well, they was dang sure moving. I know in some of them we had to chase them, and then a few of them would stop. And we finally get a bait on them and catch some. But Chase, do you tag yours with any weight on them when you're casting in the wind like that? Or
No. I actually I actually had to switch to the 1/4 ounce on Friday just to catch a little bit in the wind. But no, I use the 1/8 ounce, but it's all tungsten. I'm using a lot of tungsten now, and ATX just came out with some tungsten, and that's pretty much what I've been using casting. Kind of the star of the show here lately, but it helps a little bit in that wind.
Yeah, that answers Kevin's question. He just asked, that he had seen where you was at. I guess that'd be on Friday. And how was you casting in the wind like that?
It's a lot of practice. It's a lot of practice. I tell myself if I can usually hit one. Cagle acts like he's the casting master, but I'm getting pretty doggone good at it. I ain't gonna lie. Even Kevin give me a little credit. I like to rag old Cagle. He's the OG of that, and I can usually hit one at 50, 60 feet. If I don't hit it on the first time, I'm hitting it on the second time.
Yeah. And see, when the wind starts blowing, I pull out the long pole, and I got it tagged, and I'm sending it like a rocket. That's just. But I guess maybe I'm gonna have to go out there on Pickwick when the wind blows 30 miles an hour and channel my inner Chase Petty or Eric Cagle or whatever you want to call it, and cast that 1/4 ounce, 1/8 ounce, see if I can hit him at 50 foot, because that might have helped us, to get some of those better fish that once we got within 25 foot was, you better wind her up and get ready to go. Because
I've had some. Like I use long rods. I mean, last year's tournament, I used long rods up shallow, but I just didn't find the fish shallow like I did last year as good. We had one spot where we caught one real shallow. We caught it in like 4 or 5 foot of water on Saturday, but we caught some fish right there, but we was able to at least get one of our fish in the bag. And I didn't have a long rod out. I was still casting, but I probably could have got away with a long rod there too. So it's not all the time. It's certain situations when they're running around chasing shad. It's a whole lot easier for me to get on them with a casting rod. It's a lot of intercepting. It's like throwing a ball or a football to a football player. You gotta lead them. So like these running that. A lot of geometry. I failed geometry class when I was a sophomore, but now I'm like using when one's going at a half mile an hour. A lot of times they'll go about a mile an hour, and you kind of gotta play in your head, which you do so many times that eventually you won't even have to think about where you're casting at. That as long as you see, it takes me before I ever make a cast. I'm going to follow that fish to see exactly what he's doing before I ever make one, because my first cast is going to be my most important one. And I don't want him to see the bait. If it's a little short, I don't want him to see it. I don't want a big fish is not going to turn around and chase that bait. It's not going to do it. It has to be really aggressive. You got to stick it right in their mouth, and they're actually going to eat that bait. If you put it right where it's supposed to, they're going to come up and open their mouth and close it. They're not going to. You don't have to make them chase it or nothing. That's the issue that a lot of people can't realize is if you have to get a fish to chase a bait, you probably just screwed up, because a lot of times they won't chase it. The best ones are when they're already facing the boat. He's caught before he ever knows it. I mean, I'm like, I'll tell Kevin, here's a big one facing the boat. Might as well just go ahead and get my coil tag ready. I mean, he's doomed. But when they're running about a mile an hour, I might have to play with them. And then when you focus on the wind a little bit more, that's when it gets really difficult. So, luckily Saturday we didn't have to deal with the wind. Thank goodness.
Well, y'all do need some more pontoon boats up there, though.
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. It's about to get terrible. It's oh my gosh! You go up to like Yellow Creek, I've got, and we went up in Yellow Creek, for this tournament on Saturday, and that's where we caught the majority of our fish till we ran down on Saturday, and I knew that's gonna be when you're in Yellow Creek, you're gonna get your butt whooped bad. You're gonna get your butt whooped bad, and that's a lot of people can't handle that, because those waves are way worse than a wind, way worse.
Not consistent. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's terrible. You ought to ask Kevin about him because he lives up there at Yellow Creek. He lives right in the middle of them. You need to ask him one day about what he thinks about wakeboards and pontoon boats.
Here it is. Yeah. Kevin's right here. It says, wait until they trade those I guess about the pontoons for wake boats.
Yeah.
Yeah. He despises wake boats. It's actually really funny. If you just say wake around him, he'll get on a tangent. Yeah, he's mean to him. He's really mean to him. It's pretty funny actually.
Well, he did say that his boat dock's been tore up a few times, and he's had to weld it and different stuff. So
only man I know that enjoys sitting on the front of his the thing, Kevin, he would rather sit. What he enjoys the most is, number one is fishing, and number two is sitting up on his back porch honking. He's got an air horn that he honks at everybody as they go by that's putting out too much weight. It's pretty dang entertaining. It really is.
Yeah, he does. He does have he's got a problem in there. It happens too much, and because it's done cause him to have an issue with it now. But no, we've and I was really us, people have that perception that I fish Pickwick a lot, and I really don't, and I haven't. I gotta, just like I told you, Chase, Saturday, I was gonna figure it out, or the best I can, as far as figuring it out. But I'm 35 minutes from Riverfront Park there. But I go fish the lakes here. Growing up, that's what we did. And when I fished Pickwick, it was always Bear Creek when Bear Creek was on fire, or nothing. But here in the past couple of years, I have kind of ventured out to some other creeks. Kind of feels like cheating on Bear, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Oh yeah. Bear's good. I mean, it has its times for sure. There's a lot of great creeks, and there's a lot of stuff that's different on Kentucky Lake, they really don't get on the main river until the summertime. But on Pickwick, they will get on that main river pretty much and stay out there in that current. And that's what kind of separates. It takes a lot of years to learn that.
Yeah.
And kind of able to focus in on not only the creeks, but actually the main river too. You got to break Pickwick down in about 6 sections, creeks and main river stuff. So.
I think Kevin wants us to stay off Pickwick because he said all the Pickwick fish are gone, and I hear they're all on Wilson.
we need to go to. We talk about it daily. Is that we need to go to Wilson? Because he has buddies that live on. I mean, we have a lot of people that live on Wilson and fish on Wilson, and I think Wilson is probably just as good as Pickwick.
Yes. Especially on you have the capability. Aaron caught a 339 on Wilson.
Yeah,
that was Wednesday or Thursday. So and my buddy Adrian fishes Wilson a good bit, and he's caught some over 3 pound fish. Some black crappie. And what was that? Was that 2 years ago? This September, that me and him won a Pickwick Wilson tournament, Crappie USA. And we was up on Wilson. Everybody else had fished Pickwick, and he found a spot up there on Wilson that ended up, paying dividends. So Wilson has the capability to be just as good, if not better, some days. Depending on what they're doing at Wilson compared to Pickwick, and that was why we chose Wilson back then, was because of what was going on at the dams. And Wilson really wasn't moving a lot of water. If anything, the water was rising, from what they was putting out of Wilson to what was coming in off Wheeler. So, and And we had a lot of teams fish last year. Aaron Knight comes in with this was on 7 fish back then, but
Mm-hmm.
he weighs in a 15-pound bag, 15-pound plus bag off Wilson last year. So, Wilson has the capability to be real good. As far as numbers, in my experience, I haven't never really experienced just the grove of numbers of like somebody that's wanting to go eat eater fish, catch those 10-inch plus fish, or 9-inch plus, which is legal to keep, but as I have on Pickwick, but I also haven't spent as much time on Wilson as I have Pickwick. I know there's times that people go down there and catch limits, during spring months, but those fish get tough, man. And I don't know about Pickwick. I haven't really spent a lot of time in the summer, but you may have to go to about 40 foot down to catch some Wilson fish from time to time. So it can get tough for that reason. And it gets clear just like Pickwick. And, really any part of the Tennessee River seems to me that I've been on the subject to get pretty clear if the conditions line up. So, but I would like to see us get to come back up here. I enjoy this tournament every year. I know talked to Chase and Kevin, Saturday, they enjoy that one. And I feel like everybody that comes and fishes these tournaments, whether it's the community in Muscle Shoals, Sheffield, the fishing community there, or just the fishing in general, they do enjoy themselves. They can be tough on the fishing part from time to time, but just you're going to see them now with live scope, and people get to see those fish whether they get them to eat or not. So, and we did have the opportunity to have Chase on here last week. Between what Chase is able to do on the tournament trails, when he goes and fishes and has time to spend time and concentrate. I mean, dude, you've been on fire here lately. You win the expo, and then you almost was that the Elite Series. You almost had it in the bag, like going into day 2. Was that the one you was in first?
We finished third in the Elite Series National Championship, and then I won the shootout at Hickory.
Yeah,
the Midwest shootout. So, and we've had some good fortune in the last probably last year. Last year was a really good year for me too. It's some years like that. In 2022, I had kind of a down year. I was able to win the Tennessee State Championship and have a few top finishes, but I had a lot of misfortunes. That just goes year to year. Next year is liable to be, tough breaks and bad luck, and it just comes and goes.
And then, Scott and Derek, y'all come up here and never been up here before. That kind of a reflection of y'all. You weigh in over a 2-pound average, and you spend a Friday pre-fishing and fish on Saturday. I mean, so that's the thing about the trail, man. I mean, Division II is competitive. Division I is competitive. I hate we didn't have Shiloh. I know he has some things, catching up on some guide trips and whatnot, but it was. I think it was a good weekend all in all. Colbert County, the lady seemed like she was pretty happy with everything. I wish we could have got a better turnout for them, but if they we
definitely want to come back and just fish for fun, if you know what I mean, because we want to get on that Mississippi side over at west side, and because there's some spots over there with 100 fish on one top, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of fish over there on that side, but there just wasn't much size to them that we couldn't find anyway.
Yeah, it's there's been a lot of days, that was even for live scope, that we've spent, we'd be in Bear Creek and even the Iuka side and catch a 2-man limit power trolling, but there's time and place for power trolling on Pickwick. When it's good, it's great, and when it's not, you're gonna. We
got some ugly looks from some locals a few times because I think we were in their path of trolling, and they would kind of have to. We'd be lined up, and they'd kind of go around us and kind of give us the eyeballs every once in a while,
Yeah,
run circles around them.
Yeah,
they we don't want to do that. We don't want no fist fights.
There's still a lot of fish that are caught on that trolling.
Yeah.
A lot of fish caught side pulling. You know, that's where the side pulling, was invented, and a lot of fish get caught side pulling still.
Yeah. But it's still hard for me to go back to it. I mean, once I figured out live scope and kind of got to rolling with that, the trolling just ain't the same. It just, I still enjoy it, but when it's good, it's great, because you don't have time to get bored. But when it gets slow on the power trolling, it's like watching grass grow, So, but man, I appreciate y'all taking your time, to join us on here. And I've been expecting Scott and Derek to be on here because we didn't start this until y'all had won them first two, and it's kind of on the path of just taking Division II, all the way out, winning them all. And then we started this, doing this broadcast, whatever you want to call it, for the tournaments after y'all had won y'all's first two. And been expecting y'all, you just took a little longer to get here than what we expected.
Yeah.
Y'all was close. Y'all was close a few times there to getting on and join us, but it means a lot, and for the support from the anglers and the communities and everything alike. It takes everybody to make a healthy trail. And my dad, when we took this thing, it was really kind of my idea, and then he took the bull by the horns and ran with it. So what you see with Alabama Crappie Trail, that's Keith Cole, doing that. And so I enjoy the support because of the work he's put in, and to see that, and to have a healthy trail the way we do, and hope it stays that way. I don't know that we'll get to come back to Pickwick Wilson next year because we're going to try to shrink the schedule to see if that's a little bit more friendly to the working man, which most everybody with our trails is a working man. So we're going to try to keep it around 5 qualifiers next year in a championship. So it'll be 6 tournaments compared to 8, a little bit less travel, and, with the economy and everything, not really sure. So I'd like to see us get back to Pickwick Wilson for next year, just because Pickwick's got a special place in my heart, but it may be every other year kind of thing, moving forward. And I know Crappie USA didn't make their yearly trip here. It didn't seem like this year. I hadn't seen it on the schedule. I don't know if they're coming or not, but we just want to thank everybody for tuning in. We're about the 37-minute mark. It took us about 20 minutes just to get it right. That's but thank y'all for joining, and thank everybody for tuning in. And we'll see y'all next time, coming up on this pre-tournament for Miller's Ferry tournament. Thank y'all.
We appreciate it.
Thank y'all. Thank you.